So hello everybody. Welcome to another Indie Authors Live. I do have a new shirt here that I made for myself, so I kind of love it. But today we are going to be talking with Rebecca Hefner. And Rebecca, man, does she have a lot of books. She has the Aetherius Earth series, and this is just one compilation of books 1 to 3. Then she has a novella one. And then she has a second one. So she has Aetherius Earth. She also has Prevent the Past. And then she also just started with Repressed Echoes, which is the Saxenda Chronicles. So I'm going to go ahead and invite her so we can get started. Hi.
Hi. Okay,
How are you doing?
oh my God, let's see if my camera works. Hi.
Perfect. Hi.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Me too. Let me see if I can get technology to work, I'll be more excited. Let's see how this goes. I gotta turn it up so I can hear you. Okay, hi.
Okay. All right. So as I was saying, we have Rebecca Hefner here who has many series out. So we are just going to talk about it, so many of them, a bunch of them today. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking time out of your day to come join us.
Thank you. Are you kidding? Thank you for inviting me. For this is an awesome idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's just go right into it. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide to want to be an author and what your path to publication was.
Oh, okay. Wow, just dive right in there.
Yeah.
Happy Monday, by the way. Today was a weird Monday. Was it weird for you?
Yes. I mean, I work in mental health, so it's always weird, but it was more especially weird today.
Got it. Yeah, it was weird for me today. I also woke up with a little cough, so if I get scratchy, I have water here. Just yeah. So okay, I started writing The End of Hatred, which is the first book I ever published. That's the first book in my paranormal romance series, and I started writing it back in like 2002, 2003. It's a long time ago. And I just started writing it for myself because I really liked reading. I think most authors are avid readers also. And I loved, all the usual, like I loved J.R. Ward. So I loved her, all of her vampire stuff. But then I also loved historical romance. I love Lisa Kleypas and all that stuff. So anyway, I just started writing it for myself because I loved the feeling that I got when I read. And I was like, oh, I want to write that feeling with these characters for myself. Anyway, so I had that book, I worked on that book forever. I never thought I was going to publish it. This was before self-publishing was a thing, really, because it was like in the early 2000s. And I eventually, I got a job in corporate America. I worked there for over a decade, and it was financially rewarding, but not like fulfilling in any other way besides financially. So I decided to become an author, which is fulfilling in all of the other ways except financially. So there you go. But yeah, I finally I decided in around 2016 that I was going to leave corporate America and try, self-publishing was starting to become a thing, and that I was going to try and become an author. And so I left in my job in February of 2018. I took a year off to find an editor and take some writing courses and really hone my craft. I found a great editor, and she helped me edit The End of Hatred into what it is today, and she's still my editor today on my books, and she's amazing. So so in 2018, the end of 2018, I published The End of Hatred. So I've been an author for over 5 years now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do, right? Is to leave something that is financially stable and say, you know what, that's not fulfilling me, that's not my passion, and do something for you. So that's really hard.
It was really hard, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. I think they still think I'm crazy because but again, I've always been someone who really doesn't care what anyone thinks, and really understands that we only get one shot at this life. And if I don't want to be someone who looks back and says, oh, I didn't give this a shot or whatever. I mean, now I've done it now it's my job. I mean, now I've got it, but It is hard. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a risk for sure. You can't be risk averse if you become an author. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So.
So tell us a little bit about your writing process. So do you outline, do you plot, or do you quilt? What do you do?
I do plot. I do a lot of so I plot in my head first. So I dream about the characters. I try to like imagine them in my head. Like they usually talk to me a lot. So yeah. So I imagine how they'll interact in my head first. And then I do an outline of what I want to happen in the book. So not necessarily a like an extensive plotting per se, because I used to try and do extensive plotting, and I just found that my characters like just didn't follow anything that I plotted when I was writing. So now what I do is I just outline things that I know I need to happen in the book. Like these are things that I know have to happen somewhere in this book. Like this scene has to happen, this thing has to happen, this resolution has to happen, this conflict has to happen, whatever. So I'll plot all of that out, or outline all of that, I guess. And then I take that to start, and then I start writing.
Hmm. Cool, cool. So the next question is very unique because I feel like a lot of the authors that I've interviewed so far, like it's like their debut or whatever. So this is an interesting one that we're gonna have to do two sides on. So what do you enjoy most about writing in paranormal fantasy romance? And then what do you enjoy writing about contemporary like spicy romance?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's funny because they're so different, but they're so similar, right? Like they're different and similar at the same time, which is so interesting. So yeah, I love this question. That's such a great question. And I love the conversation for authors like me who write different genres, because, like sometimes I have people reach out to me and they'll discover me through one of my author names, and they'll say, oh, I don't read, so if they discover me through Rebecca, they'll say, oh, I don't read contemporary stuff. I'm not going to read your other stuff. And if they discover me through Isla, they'll say, oh, I only read contemporary. I don't like vampires and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, do whatever you want to do. But like, I wrote both of them. So if you did like one and you've never tried one, like if you did like my contemporary and you've never ever in your life tried a paranormal fantasy romance, and you liked all of my contemporary romances, there's a high probability you might like, it's the same author. So like, this is what I'm trying to tell people. And they might not, that's fine. I mean, whatever, whatever floats people's boat. For me, okay, so the reason my first love is always fantasy romance. Like that's sci-fi, like this Indaxa Chronicles, like this new trilogy I'm writing, and like my Prevent the Past, like anything that has fantasy or like a fantasy world or a sci-fi element with lots of twists and turns and steamy romance. That's always going to be my jam. That's like what I enjoy writing the most. But so that's kind of like what, that's sort of what I enjoy the most about that stuff. And it's not that I don't enjoy my contemporary romances, because when I say, sometimes I go on lives and I always say that I enjoy writing those more. People get up in arms because they love my eyelash books, and like, which is wonderful, by the way. And I'm not like poo-pooing those books at all. It's just that contemporary romance is not a passion of mine like fantasy is. Like I love building worlds and stuff like that. But my contemporary romances that I write, of course I love them. Like they're my characters, they're my people, So like I just need to write, for my contemporary, what I love writing is characters who are really real and who remind me and have the same types of conversations and relationships and problems that I and all of my friends and family have. So like if it's just sometimes, I mean, you're probably never going to see me writing a billionaire romance, because like, no, I don't know how to relate to that. And I guess that's the fantasy, right? So some people could probably write that. A lot of authors write that very well. But for me, I like writing like people like me. So like the Manhattan trilogy that I wrote, I live right outside of Manhattan. Like these stories are stories that could have just happened to my friends, And Arda Creek is just, I was like, well, if I'm gonna write a small town romance series, which I said I never would, and then the pandemic came, and I just felt this calling to write something heartfelt and contemporary and like just showing people like in their everyday lives, like struggling and falling in love and finding a happy ending. And I just was like, I'm just gonna do it, just do it, you know. I was like, well, then at least I can make up the town. So I made up Arter Creek because I love to make up houses. So I was like, I'll make that up. Yeah, so like the contemporary, I do love. It's just a different type of. It's just more like grounded in reality, and like that's, you know, we all read to escape. So the contemporary is more like, yeah, it's just like more everyday stories, and I think that's why I maybe don't feel quite like identify them quite with them quite as much as the fantasy, but I still love them. I do love them.
Well, I think like I must have written it in like one of my reviews. Like you can write everything. Like you can write contemporary, you can write paranormal romance, you can write sci-fi. Like it's just it's amazing, and that's what I love about it. You
Oh
know,
my
and I
gosh,
love
thank
books like
you. I appreciate that.
because it's like I mean like I'm not that I don't like sci-fi, but sci-fi like isn't really my thing. But then when I read Prevent the Past and obviously Repressed Echoes, I was like, I really like this. Like this is some like, and I can see like my husband would definitely like something like that. Like I think that he would read it. I think I could get him to do it, but he needs an audiobook because he doesn't like
Nice.
to read physical books usually. He likes audio. Um,
Okay.
so
They're being made into audio. I'm waiting to have those are gonna be duet narrated. So I already have the narrators. Yes, I
that's
know,
great.
right?
I love it. I love.
Yeah.
um, so what do you need in your writing space to stay focused?
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. So I have to show you. Hold on.
I feel like
Let's
this is
do
a
it.
selfish question because I have ADHD and I am like, taking everything that people tell me.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so oh my God, don't mind my house is a mess, by the way. I can't believe I'm showing you this, but I just have to show you just because I'm old, because I'm in my mid 40s. I have this is my writing chair. I have two heating pads. This is what I need.
I
This is
love
what
that.
I have the heating pad one and heating pad two, and then I write, that's, if you can see, that's the New York City skyline. It's kind of
Oh
hard to see.
wow.
It's a beautiful view.
Beautiful.
So anyway, that's where I sit to write. I have I have three desks in the house. So I have three chairs. So that's my writing chair. And then where I'm sitting right now doing this with you is my wrapping order desk chair. And then and then the other room is that's my office where I do all of my like bookkeeping and all the business stuff of the author side. So what I need to answer your question is two heating pads.
And a view. Like sounds
And a
good.
view. That's it. Yeah.
And what is your kryptonite as a writer? What gets in your way?
Uh, what gets in my way is that I create too many projects for myself. I do it all the time. I really like helping authors because I think this is a very hard business, and I didn't feel like I had any support when I started. And the other thing is that I really love is audiobooks. Speaking of audiobooks, so I run a very large group on Facebook of 2,000 authors, helping them market their audiobooks and answer audiobook questions. And I also, from that, I created these promos that I run to help everybody sell their audiobooks. And one of them is Stuff Your Earbuds, which everyone I think is familiar with. So I organize and run that. So like, that is a huge promo, you know, like that's a lot, even though I only run it twice a year. And then the other one I do every 2 weeks. It's called Indie Audiobook Deals. But anyway, so this is what I do. I create more work for myself. And then my editor's like, you're supposed to have a book to read, right? Like next week. And I'm like, oh yes, I sure am. We're going to get that book to you. So that's my kryptonite, is that I just create too many dang projects for myself. And I'm trying to not do it, but it's hard.
You sound like me.
Right?
It's like take on like so much. And my husband's like, you can't just do one thing. Like you weren't reading for a while and then like you started reading again like pretty consistently in October, and like now you're doing author interviews and you're doing beta reads, which I've never done before, and you're doing like all this stuff, and I'm just like, well, that's just me. That's just it, you know. But
so you understand, I mean, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's a lot, and you enjoy it, right?
I do. It makes me like, this is what makes me happy. Like I wanted to be a publicist or I wanted to be an editor, but it was just so competitive, and I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work out. So I'm like, well, I mean, I really like talking to people, so I guess I'll be a therapist. So
Nice.
but hopefully, you know, getting involved in like the indie, I didn't even know what indie was, like honestly, before October and before I joined Book Talk. I didn't even know what it was. I was always trad. I didn't even know there was a thing about self-publishing.
Yeah.
So just
No,
being involved in it, like you said, authors helping authors, that's so important. And I've heard from a lot of different authors trading, like that's how trade chapters and that's how you kind of get, some support and you can help each other.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, that's another thing that I do a lot is education
Hmm.
of readers, is like to educate them in a way that like, you don't want to, because I'm not in KU because I just refuse to give Amazon exclusivity. I'm just not going to do it. And like I probably make less money because I'm not in KU, but I just can't. It's just for me personally. But I don't disparage any other authors who are in KU. Everyone has to do what's right for their business. But a lot of my time is also spent educating my readers and my listeners that they can find my books and audiobooks on other places besides Amazon and Audible. I mean, that is like a full-time job to remind them that they can find them on other places. Because as an indie, if you don't have, you don't have that big marketing machine behind you, and especially if you're an indie who's not in KU, which is where most people gain discoverability, then you have a second hurdle. So yeah, so it's like I think most people haven't heard of indie authors or don't realize that there are different ways to publish and all that stuff. So that's makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it's just, I'm going to have a series about like talking about, like how to support indie authors like for free and, like what are kinds of readers, what are, different types of things for promotion and stuff like that for indie authors. So I think it's just something that you have to talk about it, right? Like if you talk about it and one person, right? And then that person tells somebody else, like that's,
Yes,
um,
definitely.
so if for anybody who's joining, we are talking with Rebecca Hefner, who is the author of Aetherius Earth, as well as many other series. So I don't know. I mean, we can do a 10 words or less for like, you can pick one of your series and do like a sentence or less, pitch, whatever you want to do, Rebecca.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. 10 words
I
or less.
know. Or a
Right?
sentence. It could be a run-on sentence.
Oh, good, good. Okay, good. I'm good at those. I asked my editor. I'm really good at those. She's like, I'm really with this? Okay. Well, I mean, probably the easiest one for me, just because I've been writing it for so long and I have so many books in it, is Aetherius Earth. I guess for that series, it's, kind of like sworn enemies, sworn species, in this fantasy world decide to work together to fight a common enemy, and from there lots of love and shenanigans ensue. I don't know.
That's a great way to describe it. Lots of stuff happens in these
Lots of stuff
books.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all interconnected. So, they all have all the, base ones have like all like the main kind of characters, and then the second half of the series kind of deals with other people that are related, which is cool.
Yeah.
um, so, and I think like the coolest thing about like, especially the novellas, is like they're short, but like they're full, like fleshed out. Like it could be like 100 pages, but you're like, I feel good after reading that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Good.
it's like
I'm happy to hear that.
sort of thing. It's not like, oh, okay, that was a waste of my time. I shouldn't have even bothered. Like, so
Yeah.
some novellas do feel that way, but
Yeah.
this didn't feel that way. Um,
I'm
so
happy to hear that. Yeah, because oh, by the way, Robin joined. Hi, Robin. I don't know if you, I got to connect you guys on Instagram. You guys are both awesome. So I started writing the novellas because the books in the series are so long that it takes me a while to complete them sometimes. It depends. Some go faster than others. But I started writing novellas because I figured, oh, that would be a great way to kind of get a book out quickly or a little bit faster, to like so I could give people something like as as I'm writing the bigger books. So I'm happy that you feel that way because I don't ever want them to feel rushed. I want them to feel like nice little drops in the
Mhm.
series that and a lot of times they're secondary characters that you've kind of known but you don't really know like
Mhm.
you never got their stories. So yeah, I'm glad that you feel that way. That's awesome. Yay.
Um, and the rep in these is actually really great too. Like and I think that's what I appreciated as well as like, I used to read a lot of YA, and so then I started being an adult, and I was like, but I like YA because it felt a certain way. But then you go into like certain authors can make that switch and make you feel the same way. So there's like chronic illness, like disability rep in these, mental health. There's like reproductive difficulties. There's so much different stuff in these, so I appreciate that too. Um,
Thanks.
and I know you have so many characters, so this is gonna be a hard question. But who is your favorite character to write and why?
Oh man, I hate it when people ask me that because I
I
mean I do
know.
have so many
They're
characters
all
at
your
this point.
children, and you love
It's
them
so,
all the same.
yes, it's so hard. Um, so usually when I think about this question, I obviously I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Miranda because she's the
Mhm.
first female character I ever really dove into. And I just love how badass and amazing she is. And I just feel like she's just like my OG of like awesome badass heroines. But my favorite character to write is probably Evie because she's the freaking best. Like, it's just so fun to write a character that has zero filter and does not give a flying you know what,
Yeah.
right? So just writing her book was very fun because I could just say whatever I wanted to say, like through her, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
Robin's like, yes.
it's always nice to be able to have a character like it's like your alter ego. Because like I hear a lot of authors are like, oh, like I wrote this character and they're like me, and that.
Yeah.
But the alter ego, that's
Yes.
kind of like what you're saying. So I haven't heard any alter egos before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so what was the most challenging part of writing the Aetherius Earth series?
It's so funny. Okay, so I did a live the other day because I was wrapping orders, and I think Robin might have jumped on that one. I can't remember, but I was wrapping, and I have so many videos of orders I've already wrapped. So I was like, instead of me videoing another order because I have so many like saved in my phone I haven't posted yet, I was like, let me just go live and I'll wrap and I'll like chat with people while I'm wrapping. So anyway, someone asked me this. So I was, and so, oh, I think it came up this, anyway, someone was on the live and they mentioned that the Cryptic Prophecy was like one of their favorite books in the series, to which I was like, really? That means so much. And I started to tell her, and as I'll tell you now, that that book was written at a very difficult time in my author career where I had to rewrite that entire book. And that's a really long book. It's it's over 100,000 words.
Hmm.
Um, but it just didn't work. And my amazing editor, the first round didn't work. And my amazing editor, I knew I needed to make a pivot in the series. I was going to start writing the kids and I just knew it needed to be good to keep people's attention on the series as I kept going. Otherwise, what's the point of if it's not great, right? And I just remember she and I worked on this first draft that I wrote, and it was so long. It had a lot, like it is now, but it just didn't work. And I just said to her, I said, I think I'm just gonna have to rewrite the whole book. Like I'm just gonna. I mean, I kept in some parts, but I really pretty much rewrote the whole book.
Wow.
And I was exhausted and I was burnt out. I didn't know if I was going to finish it. I remember I was visiting my brother. I was at his house in North Carolina and I was supposed to have been done. And I just was like, I was so mad at myself that it wasn't flowing or whatever. And I remember sitting outside on my brother's porch, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And anyway, through whatever miracle, I got myself together and I ended up finishing it and really liking it. And then I sent it back to my editor, and she, bless her heart, my editor's very expensive, and I was just like, I don't know if I can send this back to you and pay you again. And I want to pay her, like I don't want to like
Right.
but I just was like, I don't know if
They
I can even.
charge by the word, right? Usually it's
Right.
like 7 cents a word or something like that. And yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't even know if I can afford to pay you to read
Hmm.
this for a second time. And she did it for me for free, which she did not
Oh,
have to do. She is amazing. Like she's also an editor for Big Five publishers. I'm actually the only indie client that she works with,
wow.
which is awesome. I just love her so dearly. So anyway, she offered to do it for free, which is like amazing because she is well worth like I didn't ask her to do it. I just was like, I don't think I can send it back to you. I don't think I can afford it. Um, anyway, I'm drawing this out, but anyway, the point is that she helps me work on it and we finished it. Like she sent me back her edits and I finished it and I was just like, wow, this is so much better than it was, and I felt really happy with it. And I felt like I would be able to continue the series and that it was, I was happier than I thought I was ever going to be with it. Anyway, so that was probably the hardest time in my author career because I was just at a point where I was like, if I can't figure this out, maybe it's not my thing. Like maybe I should try something else. So the fact that I like plowed through it and through kind of some severe burnout was good. And yeah.
I mean, I think that takes a lot to, I mean, a lot of people say, okay, like my first draft, like your first draft is going to be crap. Like it's not going to be good. But I think that's probably one of the most difficult things, about being an author, right? Is like, I mean, you have to take criticism, right? Like, you have beta readers, you have ARC readers, you have your editor, and you hope that they are going to be honest with you. But not too honest because
Yes,
we don't please don't hurt
exactly.
feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want them to be honest. Like I love her. And she's from the New York City area too. Like we don't live too far away from each other. And she's capable of being brutal, and
Right.
I like it. I tell her like I want you to be really tough on me because it's the only way it's going to get better. But be brutal, but like sugarcoat the
Yeah.
brutal. Like I need you to like be like this. I need you to be a positive first before you get me a negative. So I don't.
Sandwiches. So
Yeah.
positive criticism, positive.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. So yeah.
And so if you can think about it, the cryptic prophecy, what's your favorite line from that book?
Um oh, I don't know. I wrote that one a while ago. Now I'm trying to
Favorite
think of what my
scene?
favorite. I love the battle scene of her with Bakari. I mean, I just thought that was
Mhm.
so. Oh, I know what was so. What I love about that battle scene is when is at the end when he. Well, I don't want to like. Okay, well, whatever. Anybody watching probably has read my books in this way, but like at the end when he's defeated and lying on the ground, and he just has this moment of humanity, and she has this moment of humanity, and they share it with each other. That was really, I thought that was really like, it's just in that moment, he's not evil and she's not good. They're just two people who just like the decisions of their life led them to this point, and they have no other out except for her to kind of help him exit the world, and it's just kind of heart-wrenching.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, having those scenes that you write that like are heart-wrenching, right? Like, evoking that emotion like from your reader is really cool too.
Yes. And I
Obviously the
have
book.
a scene. Yeah. Okay, books and beer is here. I'm just waiting for them. I have a scene in this book. So I just got final revisions back from my editor today of book 2 in this Indexa
Yay.
trilogy. And there's a paragraph in there that I wrote that every time I read it I cry. And it's not even about Ariana and Dom together. It's about
Mhm.
Dominic talking about his sister who passed away.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And I wrote a little comment to my editor, like every time I read this, I bawl. So I hope that my readers feel the same way. And she wrote back that like she literally was like crying as she was writing the comment. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
You can make yourself cry with your writing. It's great.
I know, right? Like, let me just impress everyone. Yeah.
And so the covers that I happen to have are, like all of the books bound together. So they don't have, face characters on them. But but obviously like the ebooks and things like that too. So if you were to have Etherea's Earth made into a movie, who would you cast as your main characters if you have anybody in mind for any of the characters?
Oh yes. Oh, I've done this one. Yes. I think this one I'm on because I love doing that in my head. I love like casting the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and Robin said Ariana. Oh my God. Yes, I love her. I'm obsessed with Ariana. Okay, so Miranda would be Kate Beckinsale from Underworld, obviously. Like she's amazing. Sathan would be Henry Cavill because we all know I'm obsessed with him. At this point. Okay, who I think Latimus would be Jason Momoa, and I think Lila would be like someone like like maybe like Daenerys before she went bat stuff cray, if anyone watches Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Or yeah. And then who else? I think Darkroom would be the guy who plays Superman, who has or not Superman, or someone, he's on the superhero shows, he has the green eyes. I feel like that would be Darkroom. And then who else? Evie would be played by Beth from Yellowstone, faux show, because she is her special brand of cray, which I love. I mean, that's one of my favorite characters also. Who else? I'm trying to think of who else. I don't know. Any other characters that I like? I'm trying to think. I mean, I have so many. I'm trying to think of like.
I know you have so many. Like,
yeah,
well,
I feel like
Elvie, thank you for the gifts. And I think so. Elvie is one of the authors that I interviewed. Like, I think she was like one of the first ones, and she also has like a paranormal romance out. Elvie, you would love these apps. I will send these to you because you would love these. They have vampires and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So I think you would like it. But yeah, I think like you said, when you have so many characters, what about Ariana and Dom?
So Ariana would 100% be played by Natalie Dormer, who played Cressida in the Hunger Games, right? With her half-shaved head. Yes. That's kind of who I based her on, just like looks-wise, but also like badass-wise. I mean, Ariana is so badass. Oh my God. I don't know. I'm like, when I get into a book, like I am, like, so tomorrow I'm going to finalize this manuscript and send it to my proofreader. And like, so I'm so in this book right now. And I'm just like, so obsessed with her. Like she's amazing. I'm obsessed with Dom too. He's great. But like Ariana is so badass. Who would play Dom? Like somebody with a lot of tattoos and like a scar on his face. Like who would that would like somebody like, I want to say John Cena, but like cuter than him. Sorry, John Cena. No,
John Cena.
John Cena. It's not, no offense. I'm sure he's watching.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
But something like that.
That's so funny. All right, so we'll move on to the last part here. So, other than reading, because I feel like I need to preface that because everybody said reading. I know that you like reading when you're not writing. Right. So, what are some other things that you like to do when you're not writing?
Oh yeah. Okay, so my favorite things in the world, I love karaoke. I do have a pretty good voice. I love to sing. So yeah, I'll do karaoke. I mean, it's like a thing with my friends now. Like if there's a karaoke bar within 5 minutes, it's like, oh God, here we go. And I'm like, we're all going. I love wine, a good red wine. I love pizza, wine and pizza, but I don't eat pizza that much anymore because my doctor was like, cut it out because it's not healthy for you. Yeah. I will eat it on my cheat days if I need it. But I love food. Like I love sushi and like I love like good food. I used to love to travel. I used to travel all the time. I don't really travel that much anymore because like after obviously pre-pandemic I traveled all the time. Now I don't really travel that much anymore because I'm on an indie author budget, so I don't have the corporate America travel budget that I used to have. But when I do travel, I'm really lucky in that. Well, I'm originally from North Carolina and my whole family still lives there. So I'm going to North Carolina not this weekend, but next weekend. I have a book signing, but I'm also going to like see my family, stay with my family. Yeah. And I have friends that live in Florida and like, yeah, so I can always like travel to those places,
Yeah.
if I want to do that. So yeah, so I like to travel. Yeah, and then I also love movies as much as I love books. So I love movies. I just watched Oppenheimer. I was waiting to watch it because I don't go to the theater anymore. So
Yeah.
I just watched it the other day, and I'm such a huge science dork, so it was so good.
I heard it was good. I hear it won some things.
Right? I know there are like some little known actors and yeah. So it was really good. So yeah, I like the karaoke, wine, pizza, and movies. I'm pretty simple. That's about
Sounds
it.
good to me. Um, and so this is my favorite question because I've gotten so many amazing recommendations. What are some books or authors that you would recommend?
Oh man. Okay. Oh my God. Obviously, I have so many. Like we all love to read, right?
I know.
I will preface this by saying that sadly, I barely have time to read anymore because I am working on my own books, which is so sad to me. And I just fall asleep so fast now when I get in the bed. So I used to go to bed at night and I used to be able to read for like 2 hours.
Mhm.
No, I cannot do that anymore. Are you like that? Do you fall asleep now fast?
Pretty easily. Yeah, I've fallen asleep the past couple days listening to audiobooks, and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, what happened?
Right? Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're like, oh, where did I don't even
Yeah,
know.
like where did I actually, so I'll take a screenshot before I like go to bed, and then I'll know where I am so I can go back.
No, that's so smart. That's totally the way you have to do that. I have to, I would never remember, right? You have to do that. So
Yeah.
smart. Yeah, so I'll say, so I know one of the things I'm so excited about I usually fly to North Carolina, but I'm driving because, I have a bunch of books that I'm taking, right? All my book signing stuff. Robin says she falls asleep fast, but wakes up through the night. Oh yeah, I do that too. If I wake up and I can't get back to sleep, I'll read, which is I'm
Mhm.
fine with. I love that, Robin. So yeah, I'm so excited to drive to North Carolina so that I can listen to an audiobook. I already have some
Mhm.
queued up that I want to try. But anyway, so like, yeah, I love when I find the time to read or listen. It's so funny because just before this, I had finished with my list for the day, and I had half an hour. So I'm rereading Colin and Penelope's Bridgerton story before the new Bridgerton. I do love those books, some more than others. So that I always recommend, like Bridgerton. Although to be honest with you, Lisa Kleypas I like better than Bridgerton. Like if you, I don't know, do you read historical?
I have in the past.
Okay. So if anyone for me to ever recommend a historical, I always recommend Lisa Kleypas. And like, I don't know I haven't read a new one of hers in a while. I don't know if she's still releasing. I guess she is. I might not be up on it. I don't know. I'm not up on anything anymore. But her Wallflower series is the one to start with, and it is just, and they're spicy. I mean, and they came out like in the early 2000s, and they are spicy. So I recommend her. Uh, I love Kit Rocha or Kit Rocha, Rocha. Have you heard of? No.
Nope.
Okay. So it's actually two authors writing under Kit Rocha,
Mhm.
and they wrote this 9 book like post-apocalyptic dystopian steamy romance series, but this is the spiciest series I've ever read in my life. Like I went into it thinking like, oh, I love dystopian romance, no problem. Like, and I mean, I write pretty spicy stuff, so I was like, okay, like cool, no problem. Dude, by like chapter 5, I was like, oh, we're already at the orgy. Okay, here we go then, guys. We're ready. Like I was like, wow, what is happening? And the whole series is like that. But it's also extremely well written, fantastic plot, amazing characters. It is like whenever I see in the groups, people ask like, I want a steamy dystopian romance. Of course, I'm like, I recommend theirs, and I'm like, oh, and I wrote one too. Like, I recommend, but like, it's called the Beyond series, and it has 9 books. It's a completed series. Oh my God. I think they just put them back into Kindle Unlimited. They were out for a while. So, if you have KU,
Mhm.
anyway, oh my God, I can't recommend it enough. It's so good. So Kit Rocha, I recommend. Um, I mean, I obviously read, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I don't know, people have strong opinions about everything, but like I liked,
Yeah,
I actually,
I love
let me,
them.
right, yeah, I actually listened to the audiobook when I drove to my last book signing in Virginia.
Mhm.
That's when I listened to Fourth Wing when I drove there back.
They have a
But
dramatized one now, so I'm gonna get my husband to listen to that.
oh, nice, good,
He
yeah,
likes dramatized. He's listening to A Court of Thorns and Roses right now. Well, he's
awesome,
on the second one. He's halfway through the second one. Proud of him.
nice.
And he
That's
like totally gets it. Like he'll like I'll be sitting there because he'll be playing his game, but he also listens to the book, and then I'm there reading, and then he'll just pause it. He'll be like, "Oh my God!" I'll be like, "What?" And he'll like freak out. He'll be like, "Tamlin just did this," and I'm just like, "You see, you understand now. Like you
yeah,
get it."
yeah. I mean, that is, and okay, by the way, I'm gonna get kicked off of book talk for this, but so I started listening to that series on audiobook, and I just never, so I started with the regular audiobook, and then I get all these from like Hoopla and Libby
Yeah,
and all.
yeah.
So like, that one expired, and then I couldn't get that one back, so then I got the dramatized version, and I
Mhm.
started off where I had left off, and I kept going, and then this was maybe a couple months ago. So I'm only like halfway through the first book, and I haven't had time to pick it back up yet. And I just feel like I'm the embarrassment of book talk because I haven't read these books yet, but like I just don't have time to, I want to, and I like it's in my Libby and my Hoopla queue to like keep
Mhm.
checking it out. When it gets warm again, I always go on a lot of walks by the Hudson
Mhm.
River when it gets warm. So I listen to audiobooks more when I go on walks. But in the winter, I do my elliptical and I watch the TV because it's
Yeah.
freezing outside. So anyway, um, but I love that he's listening to the audiobooks because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because that dramatized version is really awesome, and it's so cool how they do the side effect. Not side
Yeah.
effect. Was that what I'm talking about?
Sound
Sound.
effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I love full cast because it just makes it so much more interesting because that's
Mhm.
literally what it would be like. So it's
Right.
pretty cool. And I listen to audiobooks all the time. I'm trying to get through Zodiac Academy, which was another recommendation from another author. And she told me it was a long series and there's eight books plus like some novellas like in there, and like the audiobook is that I'm listening to now for six is 26 hours long. But
Oh.
I am crazy, so I listen on 2.5 speed. And I'll just sit there and like when I'm doing my notes or something like that, I'll listen to my audiobook. So I got through like half of it today because I'll just sit there and listen.
Yeah, and you're able to. What do I listen on 1.5, I think. So you're able to. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good. What?
Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but my brain works that fast because of the ADHD. So,
Okay.
and that's why I am crazy with how many books I've read this year as well. Like, I just read, you know how fast I went through your books. Like,
Yeah,
legitimately, like, I
I.
don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I was like, you were like, I'm ready for more, and I was like, wait, what?
And
Like
you're like, oh,
my
I
ARC
don't
readers
have none.
never. I was like, really? And I was happy too because I was like, this is great, like. So.
But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. So like I've turned like the ADHD like into a superpower, I guess. Like
Love that. I
that's
feel
my
like you
superpower.
really have, and that's amazing because then you can consume more books and get through them, which is great. I
I
love
just
it.
have to.
Yeah.
Um, so perfect. So we have some recommendations here. Elvia said, I'm always amazed at the amount of books you read. You send me recommendations, and I'm like, I have a whole new list of just Taylor's rocks.
Well, that's great
um,
because we need, I mean, like you do such a good job on getting, I love seeing your posts come across my feed because you give great reviews, and then I know it's like a lot of fantasy romance, which I love. So a lot of them I'll see them come across my Instagram feed, and then I'll go to Amazon and add them to my wish list, or
yeah.
I'll go to BookBub and add them to my wish list, or wherever I go, but yeah, like that's great that you get through them so fast. So then we can like read what
Right.
you
You
send.
know about it.
Yeah.
And Robin says that she listens while at work and people think it's odd. Well, I don't know what's wrong with those people because it's totally normal to listen while you're doing busy work. And my favorite part is when you're doing busy work and then like a spicy scene comes on and like you just have to like take a minute because you're just
I'm
like,
always like,
I like I feel wrong for listening to this at work.
it's like,
Uh,
did anyone hear me?
and
Yeah, that's, yeah.
it's like I'm like, is it too loud?
I always love it. So when I do, I mean, I don't go into this. I live on the in the suburbs of New York City, so I don't go in so much anymore. But when I do go in and ride the subway, and I see women like us on their earbuds, obviously, I'm just
You always
like,
wonder what they're listening to.
what are they listening to? Is this girl a spicy book reader? You know, like I'm always like, I think
So
so.
funny. I didn't like, I mean, but I was basically reading YA, right? So like before book tech, like I was just reading YA and then Haunting Adeline came up on my
Oh yeah.
and I was like, what's this? And then I read it and I was like, oh. I am concerned about why I like this,
Right.
but I'm here for it. I mean, it's so funny.
Yeah. You listen to
Um,
like it's all fantasy anyway, you know. That's why
right.
I just like let people read what they, I'm not a huge dark romance fan personally, but like I feel like if that's what floats your boat and that's what makes you happy, there's not enough joy in this world. Like the world
Exactly.
is gray
You're
right
not
now.
hurting
So
anybody,
yeah,
like you're just reading about it, like
yeah,
it's fine. I mean, maybe it's
exactly.
validating for some people, I
Yeah,
mean, you have trigger warnings for a reason, so you can read them.
yes,
And if you choose to move forward, well, then that sounds like a you problem.
right,
Like,
exactly.
they did what they had to do, just like, any TV show that has trigger warnings,
Yeah,
when it comes up in the corner. Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
so what advice, Rebecca, would you give to aspiring authors or a younger Rebecca?
There's so much. Um, wow. Well, I think to like my younger author self, I would probably just tell myself that it's not going to look anything like whatever the career that I build and the journey is not going to look anything like what I thought it was going to look like. And to just release any expectations. I just do so much better when I just release expectations. And that's hard. It's hard in this social media world because you always like it. People freely share their successes, but they don't
Mhm.
freely share their failures. And so I think that authors look around, and I'm guilty of this too. You look around and you go, "Oh my God, they're doing so great," and you're not. You want everyone to do great, but then you're like, "Oh, maybe I should be doing better. Maybe whatever." You have to like stop that for sure. And I just had to realize like I expected my journey. I think I expected it to be easier.
Mhm.
And it's okay that it's not. I just wish I had been prepared
Mhm.
that it was going to be so. I mean, it is really hard to be a full time author. And again, I also like because I won't do certain things like put my books into KU. I make it doubly hard on myself. I understand that, so like I make it even harder on myself. But also it's also very rewarding though. So like that's what I would go back and tell myself. Like it's not gonna look like what you thought it was gonna look like. And it's gonna be harder than you think, but it's also gonna end up being more rewarding than you could have ever imagined. And definitely more rewarding than working for someone else in corporate America.
And I think that people say that a lot, right? About a lot of like, I mean, a therapist like myself, teachers, like you don't get compensated fairly for the amount of work that you put in. But, like you said, at the end of the day, is this making my heart feel good or is this making my wallet feel good? And what matters more in the long run? What am I going to remember? Because
Yeah.
when you're gone, you're not going to have that money, but you
Right.
are going to feel fulfilled and like, I did that, right?
Exactly.
So but it's so
Exactly.
tough. It's so tough, and a lot of people, authors I've talked to have it's part time. It's like I have a
Yeah.
full time and then I do this part time. So you're one of the ones, probably one of the few I think that I've interviewed that does it full time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
and You crank
Yeah.
out these books. You
I
crank
don't
them out.
think, yeah, not as fast as I used to. So yeah, my highest, like where I was most prolific was during the pandemic, obviously, because there was literally nothing else for me to do but write books. So I wrote, oh my God, I released so many books during the pandemic. And I've slowed down a little bit just because, life started up again and I have, I can actually like talk to other people. So like, so that's been interesting because yeah, but I am this year, last year I didn't release a ton. I did release some, I had some new releases, but this year I really want to release. I want to try to I'll never get back to what I was releasing in the pandemic. I think that's impossible, but I would like to get back to where I'm releasing more and more and more. So, but also as I get older, I'm 5 years older now than when I started. And not that that seems like a long time, but my body is telling me it's a long time.
Mhm.
And I don't have I used to be able to stay up and write until midnight, and I just cannot do that. I used to really enjoy staying up and writing until midnight, and I can't do that anymore. I mean, once I hit 9 o'clock, it's done. My body's like, I don't give a crap what you want to do. You're done. So, so I have to remember to give myself some grace. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I am definitely gonna keep this year. I want to finish the Syndaxa trilogy. I want to put out some new Isla Asher books. I need to put out some Aetheria's Earth books. Um, yeah, so that's my goal. That's what I'm committed to. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm
We'll see what I
excited.
make it.
I'm excited. I'll be there. I'll be there reading them. Um, so do you play music while you write?
No, and oh my God, and I love music. Like we talked about karaoke and how I love
Mhm.
singing. That is one of the things that makes me so sad. I wish I could write music. Write music. I wish I could play music while I write because music makes me so happy. I do try to listen to it on at all of the other times of the day that I'm not writing, which is or doing business stuff for my author business, right? Because that's what I'm usually doing at one point of the day. I'm either doing my business stuff or I'm doing my writing. But like when I shower, this sounds so weird, but when I shower, I take my phone into the bathroom and I just play music really loudly because like that's the one time of the day that I can listen to music and my brain doesn't have to work.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, and this bumps me out so hard, but I can't concentrate
Mhm.
on writing when it has to be deadly silent, which is also hard for me because it's hard for me to go to, like, I love going to coffee shops to get out of the freaking house. And it's hard
Mhm.
for me because they play music overhead and I don't like wearing headphones to block out the noise. So I'll go out like 1 or 2 days a week to do that. But otherwise, I have to be somewhere quiet. It sucks.
Mhm.
It really does suck because my house is boring.
Is there a song in particular that makes you think of one of your series or one of your books?
Well, obviously, I mean, Miranda likes Metallica, right? So that for sure, like that definitely makes me think of her anytime I hear Metallica. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't really associate a lot. I mean, I know I have like Ashlyn, she loves karaoke, and Carrie and Peter do karaoke and Arter Creek. Like, you see a little bit of that kind of flash through, a little bit of like what I like in my characters, but not really, which is weird because I do love music so much. It doesn't really, I don't know why I don't incorporate it more. I know a lot of people do like Spotify playlists and stuff for their books. Listen, I don't even use Spotify. I use YouTube because I'm old. Like that's where I listen to my music. I don't even know how, like, yeah. So like, no, I need to think about that. That's a good question. I need to like, maybe for my next Arter Creek series, I can, or for my next Eyelasher series, I mean, I can like, find some sort of soundtrack to go along with it or something.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And let's see. So, have you ever traveled as research for any of your books, or is there anywhere that inspired the settings?
Yes. Oh, good night, Robin.
Good night,
Robin's out.
Robin.
So yes. Okay. So 100%. Okay. So like I said, I love travel. So when I decided to leave corporate America and become an author, I decided to take a year off and travel because I knew that when I started working, I was I was going to be a small business owner and I was never going to get the chance to do it again. And thank God I did that because I don't have the chance to travel ever now because I'm so busy, which I knew was going to happen. So in that year that I took off time to travel, I spent a month in Japan and I spent almost a month in Alaska and I spent almost a month in Bali. And I just like traveled the world and I lived different places for a month here and a month there. And previously to that, I had also traveled to Italy and I had also traveled to Peru and Machu Picchu. So yes, all of these places are like beautiful and amazing. And I'm also a solo traveler. Like I went by myself on all of these. So like, yes. So for example, in Japan, I saw the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my life. To this day, still, it was the most beautiful sunset. And I write about Evie. I think it's Evie talks about. Is it Evie or I can't remember. But in one of the books, they talk about this beautiful sunset in Japan. Oh yeah, it's definitely that one because she's in Zushi. That's the town that I was in. So yeah, stuff like that I've seen on my travels, 100% inspires a lot of the scenes in my books, for sure.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome to have those experiences, and I in college I lived a month abroad in Paris and it was with my college, but we stayed I mean I stayed in like the university and like, got to explore and like Paris is my favorite city ever. I have a tattoo of the Eiffel Tower on my leg. Like I love
Oh,
Paris.
amazing.
So it's so cool like when you actually like when you live there for like an extended period of time, it's not just like vacation. Like you
Yes.
feel like you're there, like
Yes.
from there and you see how they actually, live. And I mean, I learned that they don't have air conditioning, and it's really, really hot in the summer and I don't know how they do it.
Right.
So I mean, I remember like we were all like looking for fans and there was like one store that had fans and like someone bought them all and it was crazy. And like the people in Paris, like they don't even get phased by it. Like they were wearing long pants and long shirts and I'm like, it's 90 degrees out right now. What are you
Oh,
doing? But they're used to it. So it's just really cool to like see how people live.
yes. Yes. It really, and it gives you, I feel like that gives you such a bigger
Yeah.
perspective to
Yeah.
write these books, right? And to like, you have that experience. Now you can, yeah, you can really incorporate so much more into these books. You get such a bigger perspective on the world, right? That's really awesome. But I cannot believe people are wearing pants and long sleeves and
Pants and long sleeves.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was wild. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so our final question you kind of already answered, was do you have any upcoming events or signings? So you do have one coming up in North Carolina.
Yes. So that one's in Raleigh. That one is it's called Tempted and Tantalizing. So it's not this weekend coming up, but the weekend after. So March 9th. March 9th. Yeah, March 9th. So I'll be driving down on I'm trying to decide if I'm going to drive it in one fell swoop or cut it into 2 days. I haven't decided yet. I have to see how tired I am and like how anyway, so yeah, and then I'm coming home. I'll start the drive home on Monday, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to see how I feel. If I'm tired, I'll stop at a hotel somewhere and then like come back, on Tuesday. But yeah, my brother. So the signing is in Raleigh. My brother lives in Chapel Hill. That's where we all went to school. By the way, the Tar Heels are playing right now, so my brother is texting me as we're on the phone because we're huge college basketball fans, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, I told him, I'm like, "Don't text me because I'm." But anyway, so yeah, they live in he and his family live in Chapel Hill. So my mom is coming. She's from the mountains. That's where I grew up. So we're all converging on my brother's house, and I'll see them and get to do the signing, which is nice. And then I have a couple of other local signings here in the New York City area, and that's it. So I decided to pull back from book. I used to do a ton of book signings. And I decided to pull back from them because I really wanted to focus on releasing more books and just something had to go because I just was too busy. And so what I decided to do is for like a year or two to not do as many signings, not sign up for as many. And then once I release another sort of round of books, however, a year or 2 years, then I'm going to go back and start signing up for them again and doing more signings. So anyway, that's why you don't see a ton of signings on my schedule, because something had to go.
Yeah, and you had to choose something. But,
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree that, we can buy from your shop. It's great to meet you, but we can buy from your shop and then you can get us more books. So
Exactly. And I'll always do lives and like, yeah, I love, like, this is so cool, like chatting, like, I love to hop on and do a live here and there so that, I mean, I love connecting with readers and like just chatting with people. And that's my favorite thing about doing signings. So it's not that I don't want to do them. Like I've had some of my readers ask me like, why don't you used to do signings all the time? Like, do you not want to see us anymore? And I'm like, no, I want to see you. Like, I really do. But I don't think people realize like they are so like, you could like what I'm telling you with my schedule. So like for this North Carolina signing, so I'll be out of my home for about a week, which means I have to turn off my TikTok shop. I have to turn off my Shopify shop. Like I can't which is fine, but it's just like a lot of like, and then, it's like I have to pay for the travel. Thank goodness I'm staying with my brother, so I don't have to pay for a hotel. I have to, it's like if I fly, I have to ship all the books. If I drive, then it's the time I have to take out to drive. So anyway, it's all of that stuff which went into my were the factors in me making this decision. But yes, I will always I interacting with readers is like literally my favorite thing about being an author. Like that is there are so many things I don't like about being an author. And I mean, again, I love it, but it's not the easiest job in the world. But that is my favorite thing. So I will always try to make a way to like interact with people.
Well, awesome. I'm really excited and happy that you got to join me today and we got to chat and talk about some fun stuff. And, I know that we'll talk again soon, but thank you so much again for joining me. And I really hope everybody has enjoyed listening to our conversation today. And if anybody did not get to watch or wants to watch it again, these do go up on my YouTube, so it will be up there as well. If anybody wants to watch. So thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. This has been so fun. I'm so happy that how did we find each other? Did you find me on Instagram? I can't remember. I don't know.
I found you on TikTok.
Okay, cool.
And then I was just like, and then I signed up to be one of your, ARC readers. And then you were just like, hey, like, did you read my books? I'm like, no. And you're like, okay, here you go. And then you're like, let me know when you need more. And then,
and you're girl, you are good. You were like, I was like, wow, this girl is awesome. Like, I'm ready. Like, here you go. Here's more. Like, awesome. Because a lot of times
I've read everything. That's the saddest part. Is now I've read everything, but we have some more stuff coming out, so I'm excited.
I'm definitely gonna have so that arc, yeah. So I'm gonna finalize. That's going to my proofreader tomorrow. So we're gonna get that back real soon. But thank you so much. You're awesome. I'm so happy that we connected. So thank you.
All right. Well, we'll talk again soon, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Have a good night.